top prize money. But Thursday night, we saw the world's top bowlers chasing pucks. Marshall Holman and Wayne Webb are not going to make anyone forget about Wayne Gretzky. But here in Overland Park, Kansas, Mike Steinbach, a former high school star, was voted most valuable player. Our own Nelson Burton Jr. provided some slippery excitement as the referee. Oh, that's a dangerous spot. Get out of there. Stick to bowling and telecasting. ABC Sports presents the Professional Bowlers Tour. Today we visit the heartland of America, Kansas, just over the state line from Kansas City, Missouri. This ABC Sports exclusive is sponsored by Denorex Shampoo. Help stop dandruff itch with an extra relief medicine, strong medicine, but it's gentle in your hair. Denorex Medicated Shampoo. And by light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer and less. And by the United States Armed Forces. It's a great place to start. What a pleasure to return to a well-known bowling establishment in Overland Park. King Louie West. We've been coming here for 17 years. Today it's the finals of the $120,000 tournament with 18 grand going to the winner. Hello again, I'm Chris Schenkel. Field of 5, 2 non-winners. And thus far this year, this being our 10th stop, we have had 6 tournament leaders that have won the 9 telecasts. What'll happen today? Steve Fair is our tournament leader, and to tell us a little about Steve and the others in the field, here's our colleague, Bo Burton.
Thank you, Chris.
Yes, sir.
We really do have a strong field of right-handed players in there this week, but the number 5 position, man, it has a rarity to do out here on the tour. We saw Earl Anthony defend his title at the National last week in Toledo. Once again, Pete Couture, the defending champion here at King Louie, has that opportunity. It doesn't come along very often. But the key is the number 1 man. Steve Fair, a highly touted amateur, came out on the tour in 1982, had very little success. In fact, he only made 1 championship round the first winter tour. He struggled a little bit. Then all of a sudden, the end of 1982, he caught on fire, winning 2 out of the last 4 tournaments. Once again this year, he's red hot. He's the tournament leader, and he's making his first appearance on the winter tour in front of ABC cameras. He could be very tough.
Bo, you weren't too serious about becoming a hockey referee, were you?
Well, the ABC crew was very tough. They won 5-4, but I'll just stay out of the way.
Had ringers on the team, I know.
You're right, Chris.
Talk to you later.
Okay, partner.
All right, let's now meet the field of 5 that will be competing for that top prize of $18,000. Here they are. Qualifying in 5th position, the defending champion in this event, Pete Couture, 37 years old from Windsor Locks, Connecticut. In today's first match, he'll meet 27-year-old Sam Macarone, a native of Glassboro, New Jersey, making his first appearance in the championship round. The winner of our first match will advance to meet young Don Ginello of North Merrick, New York. Don is also looking for his first PBA title. In second place, a man who has won 7 PBA titles in his career from Burleson, Texas, Big Gary Dickinson. And our tournament leader is Steve Fair, 28 years old from Cincinnati, looking for his 3rd career championship. That's the field that will be competing for today's top prize of $18,000. So here we are now with Pete Couture, the defending champion, against Sam Macarone, 27 years old. Pete is 37. Macarone, along with you, will just watch now as Pete Couture of Windsor Locks, Connecticut, where we have one of our 16 winter tour telecasts. That'll happen in a few weeks. And here he is on the left lane. Brilliant red shirt if you want to adjust your TV set. First shot. What a tough break. 6, 7, 10 on the left lane, and maybe that's what we can expect a few of this afternoon, Nelson.
Well, Chris, I think they will score pretty well once they get zeroed in. The left lane's a little tighter than the right, so Pete Couture just pulled it, didn't get a good break. Let's see how he handles the split.
Well, we have an open frame for the defending champion from Windsor Locks, Connecticut. And
Here's Sam Macarone.
5'10", 150 pounds, a non-winner. Beautiful lob out onto the lanes with that right-handed shot. A boy that on this pair, championship pair, averaged 181.5, lowest of the 5. But Sam got a lot of confidence early in the week, being the leader in the second and third rounds. And Bo, what was the tip you gave him, because he asked you on how to avoid nervousness?
Well, he said he was a little apprehensive going into the championship round. I told him just keep his eyes on his target and hold his follow through. That'll get him through.
All but the 6-pin, 10 going out very, very light. And that would help a lot of our viewers who are amateur bowlers, would it not?
Very, very well so, Chris. It would help all of them because they get nervous and they might need a spare to win a league game or something. If they'll keep their eyes on their target till the ball hits the pins and hold their follow through, that'll overcome a lot of the nervousness and keep your mind on what you're doing.
All right, so the first mark of the first match. Pete Couture looks 60 feet down, and I think he wants a re-rack. Maybe not. He was making an indication to our... Yes, he does.
Chris, the number 8 bowler on the tour this year on average is Pete Couture. He's bowled 302 games, and he's averaging 213.94. Good for 8th on the Pro Bowlers Tour after 10 weeks.
37 years old. Didn't quite come up the way he wanted, leaving the 2-4-5 on the right lane. 4-time winner, 11th year PBA member, 7th full-time on the tour. First appearance this year. So it's now our first mark for Couture, that coming in the second frame. Despite the cheer from the fan, he's doing all right with a double up. He has a 22-pin lead. We'll be back after this.
At Denny's, we take a lean, all-beef.
Pete Couture in the insert. He is up and trailing by 22. He can cut that by 10 because he has a strike working, shooting now in the 4th frame. First game, King Louie Open. Leaving the 2-pin on the right lane.
Just didn't catch it all, Chris. He raised up at the line just a bit before he came through, lost it off his thumb. Pete Couture and Sam Macarone both using polyurethane bowling balls in the championship match. An easy spare for Couture, the 2-pin.
All right, that is a spare for Pete Couture of Connecticut. We asked him earlier, why does he bowl so well here at King Louie?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with my pin carry. A lot of the players here have a lot of trouble leaving 10 pins and solid 7s, and I can keep the ball pretty straight here, and the straighter shot seems to carry the 10s out better. Plus, I can keep the ball reacting real smooth, and that's the kind of shot that works real well for me.
All right, Pete Couture leaving the 10-pin on the left lane. Let's watch the pin fall.
Well, Chris, he was talking about carrying the solid 10, but this doesn't quite make it up into that area. You see the ball just a little light, and the 6-pin lays down in the channel. Now, when we see the 6-pin fly up around the neck of the 10, that's what we call the solid 10, an easy spare for Couture.
Now the non-winner, Sam Macarone, who's been a member of the PBA 2 years. Thus far this year, he's earned about $3,200. Has a good future. Double working.
The left lane breaking just a little more than the right, just the nature of the way the pine is laid out in there. And you see this ball looks in good position. On the left lane, that would have been a strike, but the right lane hooks a little sharper. Sam's ball cuts through, almost leaves the 4-7-10, gets a break, an easy spare, the 4-7 to maintain a 21-pin lead.
Started bowling at 12. Didn't come out on the tour until he was nearly 26 years of age. Sam Macarone, now leading by 21 pins.
big change that Sam has made in his game. He's moved the ball over to his right side. Watch how he positions the ball, and he holds his hand farther underneath it. See that hand underneath the ball, and the ball positioned in line with his right shoulder. He never did that until this week, and he says it's improved his accuracy.
Wobbly 4, leaving the 4-7 on the left lane. $120,000, the total purse. There's the breakdown. 18 to the winner, 10,000 for second, 7,000, 5,500, and the loser of the game you're watching right now will receive a check for $4,500. All right. And Sam continues to mark here in Overland Park, Kansas, about 20 miles southwest of the city of Kansas City.
Pete Couture, a very good match play bowler. He's experienced. He's tough to beat. This is where he should start turning it on. He's trailing by 19. That's not too much with 4 frames to go. Needs to strike right here to put some pressure on Macaron.
And the 2-4-5 on the right lane, and Pete's disgusted. Let's get a profile view of his style.
Pete, 5-step delivery, eyes intent on his target. Nice steady head all the way through the shot. Elbow slightly bent. Gets a pretty good lift on it, but it looks like he's just losing the ball off his hand. Needs to maybe add a piece of tape in his thumb hole, get that ball out over the line, and get some more lift.
All right. Felt fortunate that he got all 3. So for Couture, trailing by 22, it's a spare in the 6th frame. There you see his career earnings. $333,000. This year, $15,000. Capacity crowd looking on from all parts of Kansas and Missouri. For Pete, he welcomed that second strike after 7 frames. We're in the first game. More of it will follow when we return. Wide World of Sports next, 5 Eastern, 4 Central. Good show. And we hope you're enjoying our live coverage, as this is Don Gianello, who finished 3rd and will meet the winner of our first game. He's a New Yorker, and he's tough, hungry. So is Sam Macaron, at whom you're looking now, who is in a 22-pin lead, has a spare up, shooting in the 7th frame.
Best shot of the match by far. Sam Macaron gets it all. Good lift, good direction. Watch his reaction. When a player knows he's throwing it real well, he just wants it to carry all the pins. He's got to like that shot, Chris.
3rd in the 1982 ABC Masters.
This is the pivotal frame for both players. Macaron can really put the pressure on Couture or open the door. Let's see what happens.
Left to 4-pin. Here is a head-on shot of Macaron as he comes toward the line.
See the angle he's playing around the second arrow, but watch the loft on the ball as his swing comes through right next to his left leg. Now look at that good lift and loft. Now that ball's not thrown out on the lane. It's lifted with the wrist as the fingers rotate around it.
All right, Macaron continuing to mark here in Overland Park, Kansas. There at the right of your screen, gray hair, that's famous Big 8 official, football and basketball vice president here, King Louie, Alex George.
Big shot for Couture. He hasn't even been close on the left-hand lane, doesn't even have, on the right-hand lane, doesn't even have a clue, but he needs this one.
Well, now, 4, 6, 7, 9, 10. The oohs and ahs, give it away. Watch again.
Right through the heart, just gets half the pins and leaves himself a very difficult split. The pros say about 50-to-1 odds on this. Couture has to go for it. He'll shoot for the 3 and try to bounce him over.
So for Pete, that is his second open frame, and here in the championship finals of any of the Professional Bowlers Tour telecasts, you just can't afford to make those type of errors having open frames. So now he's trailing by 36 pins, going against non-winner Sam Macaron. disbelief again.
When it goes good, but when it's bad, it's horrid. Couture with a wide open split in the 8th, solid 8 tap in the 9th. The best he can roll, even with a conversion, is 180. You'll see the dejected look on his face when that 8-pin pops up.
In our head-to-head competition, the winner, as you well remember, I'm sure, moves up. The winner of this match, our first, will go against Don Janela, then Gary Dickinson, then Steve Fair, who is our tournament leader.
Macaron just needs a mark in either the 9th or 10th frame to go on to beat Don Janela.
And a solid hit leaves the 7.
Solid 7. We saw Couture the solid 8 in the 9th frame. Sam Macaron with an excellent looking hit, solid 7, right near the pocket. Couture knows that if Sam makes this spare, it's all over.
So, last year's winner, right here, Pete Couture, didn't have the good luck that he had a year ago. The consolation here is $4,500. But for this 27-year-old, 2-year veteran, it's a chance to go for all of it if he can win more games. Finishing strong is the winner. We'll give you that final score, because coming up next, Sam Macaron against Don Janela. Professional Bowlers Tour will continue after this message from our sponsors and station identification.
The gasoline?
Out of leaded premium.
First match has ended. Sam Macaron, a non-winner, has defeated the defending champion Pete Couture 215 to 167. Macaron with 7 strikes in his victory. Yes, as we look at Thursday's hockey game, we go to 6 through 24, Nelson.
Bill Straub disappointed. He really bowled well the last game, finished 6th. Malacosta, Bob Hanley, the cranker up there. Houston gave it a run. Jimmy Pritz, Rick Fatone, Butch Soper. President George Pappas of the PBA, Brian Voss. Pat Henderson up there, Mike Truitt from last week's National, Roger Haskell, Steve Gilgin from St. Louis, Peter McCordy, Steve Neff, who loves it here at the King Louie, Bruce Carter, Steve Lang, Charlie Tapp, and Warren Nelson filled in for young Pete Weber, who couldn't complete the final 24 games and finished 25th. 42 players cash, Chris, $1,070 for the last spot.
Okay, now the handshake, and match 2 will get underway with Don Janela, 25-year-old from North Merrick, New York. Like Sam, 2-year member of the PBA, and looking for his first win. And this championship pair averaged 218. First shot. Seems almost unfair, but Couture started in a similar fashion, but here, what do you do with the 4-6 ball?
Chris, he has 2 options. He can either try for the pocket, figuring he threw a good shot, and see where that 1-3 pocket is and sacrifice the 1 pin, or just go for the 1. It looks like he opts for the 6 pin. A totally wasted shot, Chris. He should never have gone for it. It's a 1,000-to-1 shot. Should have done one of the 2 things. Either go for the 6 pin, the 9 count, or take another practice shot at the pocket. This shows lack of experience in the championship round or at any time to go for a split like that early in a match.
Okay. Big 215 victory for this young man. And leaving the 6 pin as the ball crossed over. And seeing that big loft on the part of Sambo, your roll aids tip of the week has something to do with controlling or handling the lanes.
Good point, Chris. You can use that loft to overcome dry lanes, or another way to get the ball to hook a little more on slick lanes is to roll it. It's a good tip. Sam Macaron's foot kicks the ball return rack as he comes through on the right-hand side spares on lane 20 here at King Louie West. Really has no effect on his shot at all. It kicks the rack after the ball is released.
Tension on the face of his opponent, Janela. We're in the 2nd game. Can you believe an 8-pin after that hit?
We saw it again this week. 3-pound, 4-ounce, and 5-ounce pins. Watch the ball cut through the 1-3. It should take out the 5 and 9. It does that, but with the power we saw, the ball just hit right straight in the face of the 5-pin and chopped it straight off the 8.
Well done. Sam Macaron, now Don Janello, cleaning that black bowling ball.
Chris, a point of interest on those solid 8 hits. If the pins were a little bit heavier, say a 3-pound, 9 or 10-ounce pin, that ball would not dig that far into the pocket to chop the 5 off the 8. It would drive the 5 into the 8.
.47 on the right lane.
The right lane hooking a little more as we see Don Janelle. He's using the polyurethane ball also. Drives the 2-pin over the 4-7. Another hit where the light pins actually cost you a few pins in count, where a little heavier pin might have helped him out.
All right. Those 2 pins covered by not a black ball. It's a dark blue ball. I don't want you to think your TV set's out of adjustment. But that is a blue shirt worn by this 25-year-old who is making his second appearance on our telecast this year. You may recall, finished second in the Showboat Invitational earlier this year, losing to the eventual winner, Tom Milton. He loved that one, and that will relieve some of the tension. And this is the way each round ended. Steve Neff starting it out, then Macaron for the next 2. And our tournament leader led rounds 4, 5, and 6. Steve Fair. And he has doubled, as he did in his first match victory. Very smooth.
Right, Chris. He's got a good swing. He keeps it in line. And even though this is only his second year out on a tour, he's showing quite a bit of experience here in the championship round. He's playing the inside line on the right-hand lane around the 3rd arrow. On the left-hand lane, he's more down around the 2nd arrow. You have to play the lane the way it rolls. If it's slick, you play it out normally. If it's hooking, you play it in. He's doing a nice job.
Sam, who had to qualify for this event through the Rabbit Squad, has good things going for him and now takes a 21-pin lead. We'll be back here at the King Louie West Lanes, Overland Park, Kansas, not far from Kansas City. From North Merrick, Long Island, New York, Don Janello. He has a strike-up, can cut the lead to 11 pins. Leaving the 5, 8 on the right lane.
Janello with that down and in fairly straight shot was very successful when he was hot. He started out the tournament with a fabulous 230 average in round 1, just trailing Steve Neff, who averaged a little over 240. And then he fell apart in round 2, averaging just above 190, came alive in the top 24 finalists, qualified 3rd. Let's see if he can get it going in the last 6 frames.
His opponent, Sam Macaron, who won the first game 215 to Pete Couture's 167. Take that crossover strike. Thus the smile.
Something that Dave Davis or any of the lefties would like. He crosses over into the 1-2 area. Watch this pin right here. The 3-pin will go to the sideboard and knock out the 6-10. Watch it as it trips right between them. Good break.
tremendously high hit and actually a break for Sam Macarone on the right lane, leaving the 6-10. After seeing 6 through 24, other finishers, Wayne Webb 32nd, Marshall Holman 36th, Mike Durbin 39th, Tom Milton 40th, Mark Roth 41st, Nelson Burton 49th. Earl Anthony did not compete. Sam Macarone. We asked him what gave him the opportunity and confidence to come out on the Tough Pro Bowlers Tour.
Well, it was something I'd always wanted to do, and the thing that gave me the confidence was I won a spot in the U.S. Open a couple of years ago, and I had to have a roll-off for 24th, and I made the finals in the first national stop that I ever bowled in. And as far as opportunity, I worked for a computer firm, and they gave me a leave of absence from work, and with that, I found a sponsor, and that enabled me to come out here on tour.
Okay. And with his own hand and body and mind, not the computer, he comes up with another strike.
As we say on the tour, justice. He left the solid 8-1 frame. Here he comes back and gets the bowler's friend, the wall shot. The head pin goes to sideboard, takes out the 4, 5, and 7. Macarone's in the driver's seat. Let's see what Janela can do in the 6th.
Strike up in the 5th. Three, 6.
Don Janela just playing the lanes too far outside. We notice Macarone around the 3rd arrow. Janela's trying to play outside the 2nd arrow. Chrissy's starting it from a slick area outside the 2nd arrow into that worn track area between the 2nd and 3rd arrow. The ball's hooking way too quickly. He's having trouble controlling it.
We're in our 2nd match, and there are 2 non-winners trying to move up and go against Gary Dickinson, and then the tournament leader, Steve Fair. Don Janela right now bowling, trailing by 19. Will be shooting in the 7th frame. Looking at the overhead score sheet to make sure. The double cuts the lead to 19 pins. Macarone is leading. We'll be back with more following this. They always say it takes fewer muscles to smile than it does to frown. Here's Nelson Burton with a man that believes in that. Bo?
Thank you, Chris. And with me, the man who is one of the most popular winners on the Pro Bowler Tour, Toby Contreras. Toby, how's that victory at the AC Delco affected your life out here on the PBA?
Well, it's made it a little more exciting than it was when I first started the tour. I get a little bit more notoriety from the people, and it really helps. It adds a little bit of pressure to the tournament, but I like to strive to that challenge.
Toby, you're from nearby area around here, and you know the championship here. What seems to be the problem with the right-hand lane that the players are having?
Well, it seems like it's coming up a little on them, and it's very difficult to get the ball out, because if you get it out too far, it doesn't come back, and you leave that 2-4-5. So they just have to be very critical.
Toby says a rocket to the pocket on the right-hand lane. Chris, let's see what they do.
Macarone. Sam did it. Sam Macarone of Glassboro, New Jersey, who won the first game 215 to Pete Couture's 167. Has now his 2nd double and goes out again to a 29-pin lead. And on the left lane, it'll be the 8th frame in our 2nd game. The winner to meet, Gary Dickinson. Next week, Milwaukee, for the Miller High Life Open. Three-bagger.
Keeping it light, he hits in the 1-3, drives the 5. Watch it over into the 4-7 area. A great strike, rips him out. He opens up a 39-pin lead. He really has the pressure on Janela. Janela must strike right now.
And Janela now in the right lane. He needed that. It's a double for Janela of North Merrick, New York. 2 non-winners just fighting their hearts out, trying to move up a step closer to the $18,000 first prize. There you see the story.
Janelle, possible 228, Chris. Macaron going at a 227 pace. With a strike here, Janelle could put this in a position for a tie.
It's a 9th frame, left lane. Getting it on the left side.
Sam Macaron a little apprehensive of how he would perform in the championship round. Has done well so far, but this is the first time anybody's really pushed him hard. Let's see how he comes up in the 9th frame. Has a 19-pin lead. Turkey working.
High hit. Tough break, and you heard the foot hitting the return. Now watch.
Really doesn't have an effect on his game. Watch his right foot. Now there's his left sliding through. Now watch his right. The ball, that time his foot hit the rack slightly before the ball was released. It may have had some effect on his shot, but look at where he was playing, around the 3rd arrow. The match is open wide up. Anybody can win.
Right for the 6-7. And the crowd applauding him for the attempt.
Gives it a good shot, tries to slide the 6 over into the 7. Can't quite nip it out, and what has happened now is Don Janelle sitting there looking up at the scoreboard, only trails by 5. It's who can perform in the 10th.
Left lane. Amazing how these professionals, young or the veterans, come back after open frames.
Chris, if he was apprehensive of how he would perform under pressure, he doesn't have to worry anymore. That was his finest shot of the last 2 matches. Right now, he can extend his lead out to 15 pins with 1 more strike in the 11th.
Pressure bowling here in Overland Park, Kansas.
No matter what happens in this match, he has forced Janelle to get 2 strikes. Sam Macaron can be proud of his performance here in the clutch. He can have a 223. Janelle must strike twice.
Looking away, Janello. Oh, but the 5. Appreciative, knowledgeable audience here in Overland Park.
The situation for Don Janelle, he must strike on this ball, the first one in the 10th. He must strike in the 11th and get a 5 count to win. If he doesn't strike on either one of the next 2 balls, it's all over, and Sam Macaron goes on to the semifinal match.
Macaron with a 222. Count them, 4 in a row.
What a good shot. Talk to it. Look at those eyes, Chris. But here's the ball that counts. 42 games they bowled all week. Don Janelle, down to what the graphic shows you, needs 1 strike. The 5 pins are secondary. He'll get that for sure. This is all on 1 shot.
Tremendous performance by both professional bowlers. Sam Macaron has already fired a 222.
Needs a 5 count. He'll just start it right up at the head pin. Almost an assured 5 count. That would give him 223. It's almost impossible to get a 4 count. 4 is tough to get. 5 is pretty easy.
Okay. Gets them all. Wins by 6 pins, 228 to 222, and one of our better competitive matches of 1983. Janello against Dickinson coming up. We'll be back.
National Bowlers Tour will travel to the beer capital, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where Earl Anthony, winner of 41 PBA titles, will defend his title in the $150,000 Miller High Life Open next Saturday on ABC.
Today we're in Overland Park, Kansas. A week from today, Milwaukee for the Miller High Life Open, and then in the Chicago area, Oak Lawn, Illinois, for the BPAA United States Open, and back to Windsor Locks, the Greater Hartford Open, the Fairlanes Open in the Baltimore, Washington area. Those are the next 4 weeks. And a weekly feature here is the Rolaids Tip of the Week. And today, Nelson Burton is going to help your game. It's going to be adjusting to lane conditions, controlling the loft so that you can improve it and win. Here's Bo with the tip.
The Professional Bowler's Tip of the Week is brought to you by Rolaids.
Some bowlers seem to think that excessive loft, which I'm demonstrating here, is advantageous to good bowling. But actually the opposite is true. Excessive loft drastically reduces the revolutions on your bowling ball and can be damaging to the lane surface. Today's tip is designed to show you the proper loft zones for ideal roll on various lane conditions. To demonstrate this, we have placed a piece of tape 36 inches from the foul line. In releasing the ball this distance from the foul line, you will allow the ball to skid farther down the lane. This delays the hook and allows you to control the ball on a dry lane surface. On a slick lane surface, we recommend to release the ball approximately 6 inches past the foul line. This will start the ball rolling earlier and will allow the ball time to hook on the slick lane surface. So remember, excessive loft is never any good. If you can control your loft on various lane conditions, you can control your ball all the time.
Are finishing their practice shots. Don Janello defeating Sam Macaron, 228, 8 strikes to Macaron's 222. Macaron had ousted the defending champion Pete Couture, 215 to 167. All this happening at the King Louie Open, 17th year that we have come here. And Bo, the all-important practice balls as 6'4" Gary Dickinson from the Fort Worth, Texas area, Burleson, Texas, going against a much smaller and lighter Don Janello. Janello a non-winner. Dickinson has won 7 titles.
Chris, again, nobody has won 2 matches in a row. The only player since the Quaker State Open to win more than 1 match in a row was Norm Duke. We saw him do it at the Cleveland Open. Let's see what happens with Janello. He won that first match in the clutch with 3 strikes right there at the end, going against a very tough, experienced veteran in Gary Dickinson. Here comes the first stroke, left-hand lane.
8 out of a possible 12. Great performance. He's on the left lane. First shot, 3rd match. Low to the line and a beautiful follow-through, and Janello immediately puts pressure on Gary Dickinson, PBA member for 14 years. Smooth. High hit, 610. Didn't look as assured and confident going to the line as he normally does, but that first shot's out of the way, so.
Was a bit tentative, and Dickinson with that fingertip grip just kind of pulled a little bit. Sometimes the player's apprehensive when he gets on a lane that hooks a lot. They want to give it room, but the last second they say, oh no, here we go, and he pulled it high. Gets a break, leaves a fairly easy spare.
And the man that hasn't won in 3 years, really anxious to go all the way, finishing 2nd overall in this strong field here in Overland Park. And there you see 39, he'll be 40. Oh, magic 40 on March 26th.
Dickinson moving that index finger. It really doesn't make any difference where you put the fingers that are outside the ball as long as they're comfortable.
310 after that high hit.
Chris, watch his grip on this shot. Dickinson cross lane on most spares will just use 2 fingers to kill the ball, the thumb and the middle finger. It's 2-1 for the pros. Dickens should be even better than that. He's got a great technique. Now let's see how he sets up his hand on the ball.
Good camera shot.
Just 2 fingers. That kills the roll. Let's see what happens.
All right. A fine lesson in converting the 3-10 split.
Just perfect. Splices right between the 3 and the 10. See the very little roll on the ball and great deflection.
Now Janello, who opened with a strike, shooting in the second frame. Our third match of the afternoon. Well, that was a light hit. It just didn't come up, leaving the 2 sleeper 8.
We saw Janello struggle in the early going of his first match. He was hooking the ball too high. He made a very smart move. Instead of changing on the lane, he straightened his shot out, almost perfectly straight end over end to keep it in play. The last 8 frames have been near perfect. He has his first difficult spare, though, the 2-8.
So often picking the 2 off the 8, and unfortunately it's an open frame to the last game winner.
The 2-8. Now you want the ball to hit right in here and carry through to the 8 pin. You don't want to hit too far light and have the ball deflect around. He overcompensated and went to the left. Watch how the 2 pin just slides off, the ball not carrying the 8 pin out. Overly cautious.
Doesn't get the break, leaving the 10 pin on the left lane. Don Janello started slow in his first match against Sam Macarone to finish strong. As you see, his best finish this year, second in the Showboat Invitational. Don has competed in all events this year. Oh, nearly found the channel. Well, he's one of those competitors that can still smile.
And here's the 10 pin as Don Janello rolls the ball right into your television living room. Bingo.
Now Gary Dickinson, spare up after that conversion, shooting in the 3rd. Oh, another high hit. Ooh, the 4, 6, 10.
Now, Dickinson, we may see him experiment here, Chris. Before we went on the air, he had 1 hour practice. You see his ball cut right through the heart. No chance at all, the 4, 6, 10. He was playing the outside shot, outside the first arrow. He said if he got in trouble, which he is right now in the match, he may try that shot. Let's see what happens next frame.
So, Gary Dickinson with his first open frame, and he is immediately down 4 pins.
Dickinson sticking with that inside line. He's not far enough behind. I guess he feels to gamble and make the big change to the outside.
That one didn't come up, thus the bucket. 2, 4, 5, 8.
That's an awful feeling when you're out there in a championship round with a lot of money at stake and you're completely lost. He's been light, high, light. Apprehensive look on his face. He's hoping for it to come back, but he knows when it left his hand he was in trouble. He has another difficult spare, much similar to what Janello went by in the 2nd frame. Plus he has the problem of a possible chop.
Made sure. Gary Dickinson, who was 2nd in the 1980 Firestone and 3rd the following year in that same event. We're going to take a break now here in Overland Park. We'll for the WBC World Welterweight Championship. Milt McCrory going against Colin Jones, Bo.
Chris, and they're going for the title vacated by the great Sugar Ray Leonard. Should be an excellent fight. McCrory's going to be tough. And while we were away, Don Janello in the 4th frame left the 3-10 split, very similar to what Dickinson left in the 2nd, but he couldn't convert it. Now Don Janello is trailing by 9 pins.
5th frame. Loved it. Kurt has always stuck a little bit at the line, but that's a little bit of Don Janello's style.
When he gets forcing the ball, sometimes he slips off balance, but Dickinson, who has been completely lost throughout this match, has actually got a lead. He's coming up in the 5th frame, ahead by 9. He's sticking with the inside line. Let's see if he can get it together.
All-state basketball player in Oklahoma. There it is. Oh, no, the 10. Let's replay that profile view of the man with a smooth follow-through.
5-step delivery, 6 feet tall, 4 inches. Good position. Look, shoulder open, locked arm swing, good deep knee bend. And Chris, as we can see in that replay, he moved to that outside line, although he left a solid 10. He was in the pocket. Let's see what happens the next few frames. A complete turnaround.
Going for the 10. Today, Gary in Overland Park, Kansas, his wife back in Texas, competing in barrel racing. Elaine is very knowledgeable with quarter horses, especially showing them and racing, barrel racing.
Chris, she was here Tuesday and Wednesday, had to go home because a couple of horses were feeling a bit ill. Right now, Dickinson on the left lane. Let's see if he moves to the outside line on this lane. He leads by 8.
Tucked in elbow. Oh, yeah. The action line tracer, one of our features. Here it is.
Look at the line he's playing. Right down the first arrow. A diametrical turnaround for Gary Dickinson, showing his experience. He's put some pressure on Janello. Dickinson 8-pin lead. Let's see what happens for Janello in the 6th.
Strike up. Oh, that was a helpful double. Big double for Don Janello, who won the last match against Sam Macarone, 228 to 222. Having another close one, a 2-pin lead now after trailing by 8 and warming up. You hear the pinfall. Steve Fair of Cincinnati, Ohio. He'll meet the winner of this match for the $18,000 first prize. There's Dickinson. And now a 12-pin lead. Made it up after trailing by 8. We'll have more to this semifinal match, but first, this pause for this message. Coverage on the Professional Bowlers Tour, King Louie West Lanes in Overland Park, Kansas. From Burleson, Texas, Gary Dickinson, who finished 2nd overall, going against Don Janello, trying to get into the finals. He was leading by 8, now he's trailing by 12. He can cut it to 2 with a strike right here. Closing the gap once more, and the winner of this match will meet the tournament leader, Steve Fair of Cincinnati, a 2-time winner. There he is.
He's a tough opponent. Has a good track record all the way around for the PBA Tour once he got rolling, but these two players that are going at it head-to-head in the semifinal match are 2 of the best on the tour, especially Dickinson from that outside line. There's about 3 players out here that are awesome from that line. Malacosta, Mike Durbin, and Gary Dickinson. When they get rolling out there, anything can happen. Let's see what Dickinson does here in the 8th frame.
It's on the left lane. And now Gary is back to his 8-pin lead, which he had before Janello got up the last time. So now Janello, that dark blue bowling ball, will be shooting in the 8th frame as a 3-bagger, trailing by 8. Can change it with a strike here. Seesaw battle. This is great competition, Nelson.
2 great competitors going for a lot of money, Chris. Don Janello, pocket percentage so far through almost 2 games, 100%. He's hit the pocket 13 times, has 13 strikes. He has the lead through 8. Both players got a string going.
Alphonse and Gaston performance here. Leading by 2. Left the 3-6 on that high hit.
sets up the possibility of a tie. They're dead even if he converts this spare in the 9th frame. Janelle just rolls that ball a little early at the line, pushes it over to the left side of the head pin, the 3-6 spare. If he converts, we'll be all even through 9 frames.
All right. Close as you can get now as Gary Dickinson is up. 3-bagger. We're all even. Dickinson now in the foundation frame, 9th. Bagger for Gary Dickinson. Bo Burton met him in 1969. Bo, tell us how you first met him.
Gary Dickinson, a great young player out of Texas. I bowled with him in the Pro-Am at Fort Worth, Chris. He bowled a 300 game as my amateur partner. He got a spot as an amateur in the next tournament at Houston and finished second on the Pro Tour. It's just a deja vu of things to come for this great player. Right now he leads by 10, has a 4-bagger working, 10th frame.
7 PBA championships since that 1969 performance. All but the 8.
Chris, it's going down the last ball. No matter what Dickinson does, spare and a strike, he cannot shut out Don Janello. Janello has his own destiny in his hand, and we have a very good possibility of a tie. If they would happen to tie, would have a 2-frame sudden death roll-off.
2 matches going right down to the wire. Two fingers in that bowling ball and covers the 8. And Janello, who won 228 to 222 in the previous match, or Sam Macaron, has another close one on his hands. And there's a difference. The loser here will get $7,000. The winner of the match goes against the tournament leader for the $18,000 first prize. Just didn't come up, leaving the 2-5, and for the Burleson Texan bowler, it's a 2-10.
For Don Janello, he's in the same position he was last game. He must strike on the 10th frame, the 11th frame, and at least an 8 count to win. If he happened to get 2 strikes and 7, we'd have a tie. 2 and 6, Dickinson would be the winner. Look at those eyes, Chris. Is he intent?
A young man that has as his college Robert Morris College in Coriopolis, Pennsylvania, right near the Pittsburgh airport.
And they'll give him a PhD in clutch bowling if he can get a strike and 8 pins here. He's come to the last shot 2 games in a row.
His major, computer science. Closing performance of this 25-year-old, Don Janello. Incredible.
That last shot by Dickinson, where he had just 8 pins on his fill ball, is really the pivotal shot in the match. Janello now needs 8, 9, or 10 to win. 7's a tie, 6 is a loser.
All right, here's the shot. It's on the right lane. Semifinal match. The winner goes into the final. And now only the second man this year to win 2 matches in a row in our finals. Janello now will meet the tournament leader, Steve Fair. The PBT will continue after this message from our sponsors at Station ID.
Soil, Monday.
Thanks very much, Al, for that update. We've had a tremendous pair of competitive games. Just look at it there. 2-pin victory by Don Janello over Gary Dickinson, and only a 6-pin margin as he defeated Sam Macaron. Stage is set now for the final match. Janello going against the tournament leader, Steve Fair, who is seated, a man who has won 2 PBA titles for Janello. He's looking for his very first.
Don Janello with a win, eligible for the Firestone Bowling's 3rd jewel in the Triple Crown, would knock out Ted Hanna's.
Yeah, he knew at the release that he wasn't going to get them all. Left to 6. This man in 2 games has 15 strikes. Finished 2nd in Las Vegas. It's the worst he can do here. All right. Spare. And now, for the first time today, the 28-year-old from Cincinnati. First appearance on our telecast this year. 6th in the Quaker State and Rolaids. 7th in the Showboat. Using 2/3 of the approach. Right lane. Looping it and leaving the 4-7.
Steve Fair with a lot of hand problems all week long. You see him using what we call cut patch or any kind of cotton and collodion, much like they use in a surgical unit in a hospital to cover places where the stitches were taken out. Patching his hand out, he says, for 1 game and 18,000, he'll never feel the difference. And I can bet on that. He's a tough competitor. You're going to see a lot of this player in years to come.
And the man who cups that ball, Steve Fair, match all even after 1 frame. He's 5'9", weighs 153 pounds. Married and father of 2 children, Jeffrey and Stacy.
Stacy just 2 months old, and mean papas are tough to beat, Chris, when they have new little babies around. So Don Janello's got his hands full against this young man. Very likable.
And this championship pair averaged 219. Thought he had them, leaving the 10. Man with a high kick and a long follow-through.
The week 10, the ball doesn't quite get up solid in the pocket, what we call the 17th or 18th board. It's out there on the 16th board from the right-hand channel. Doesn't drive through and take the 6-10 out. As you saw, Steve Fair reach in his pocket for a little rosin and for a harder bowling ball. This is a very hard ball, above 90 hardness, a polyester ball, cross lane for the spare.
Back-to-back spares for the tournament leader, Steve Fair. Now Don Janello, who has won 2 games. Our first game today was won by Sam Macaron over defending champion Pete Couture, 215-167. The man at whom you're looking had a 228 to Macaron's 222, and then a 212 to Dickinson's 210. Now that got away from him and leaving the 3-6-9.
Most average bowlers, Chris, switching to a second ball is really not necessary. It's just the big hook ball bowlers like Steve Fair feel a little more confident with the less hook. A player like Don Janello, who has the ball completely under control at all times, uses the same ball on both first and second shots.
So our bowlers should adjust to the lane conditions, as you gave a tip today on loft in controlling things that happen. There's the big blue of Don Janello.
Talk about the balls. We'll watch this fingertip grip of Don Janello, and then when Steve Fair comes up, he uses 4 fingers in the ball. The only finger that isn't in the ball is the little finger on the right hand.
High hit and 4-7. You recommend that for amateurs?
Well, it can work for people who have maybe arthritic problems or wrist problems. As we see Don Janello, low profile, gets a break, doesn't get the 4-7-10 split. He likes it right there, has an easy spare. But Chris, going back to it, as we see Steve Fair come up, we'll watch his grip and show you what to do with it.
So we're in our championship match, still looking for the first strike in this game. Fair with 2 spares, now shooting in the 3rd. There's 2 pretty ladies behind Fair, happen to be Bo Burton's sisters, Barbara on the right, Joy on the left.
Both smiling. They know that somebody's making money.
Well, talk about a complexion changer. Not only in the face, but in the game. Here we are, the 4-10.
Tough shot as Steve Fair goes to the rosin. He keeps in his pocket. He's losing the ball on a downswing. And there are two Burton girls, Sister Joy and other Sister Barbara, enjoying the action with many other fans here at the King Louie.
So, in going all out in this one match for the 18,000, he missed it by a big margin.
Going cross lane with that big hook, he wasn't even close. He had to just nip that 4-pin on the left-hand side and slide it into the 10. As we see his grip, see fingertip on the middle finger and ring finger, and then conventional on the index finger. The reason he does that, Chris, he had a lot of wrist problems, a sore wrist, and he takes the pressure off his wrist so he can continue to bowl.
There, our first strike of the championship match by Steve Fair, the tournament leader. Going to leave Overland Park, Kansas for the moment. We'll be back. Janello, in typical Janello fashion, in the 4th and 5th frames, strikes. Leads by 20. Fair with strike up and can cut it to 10. 5th frame. Another tremendous match here on our live telecast from Kansas.
Steve Fair, a proven veteran out here even after 1 year. He had a tremendous amount of amateur experience, bowled in many American Bowling Congress tournaments, represented the United States all over the country in the American competition or the international competition. He knows what it's like to have his back against the wall. If he can strike here in the 6th, Chris, it'll be an even match.
Hit, getting by with the 6-10.
As you can see, the trajectory of Steve Fair's ball right in the track area or the worn area for right-handers between the 2nd and 3rd arrows. Just didn't quite get the speed. He breaks high, almost leaves the 6-7-10. Has to guard against the chop. Cross lane with the hard ball.
After a double, it's a spare for the tournament leader, Steve Fair. And this man, again, for those of you that may have joined us late, won the last 2 matches. 228 to 222, 212 to 210.
Leads by 12, has a double working.
And he'll have to cover a 6-10, but on the right lane. We're in Overland Park, Kansas, where the magnolias are in bloom, but they expect 5 inches of snow tonight. All right, Don Janello of North Merrick, New York.
Janello with that 5-step delivery across lane. Kills the ball a little more crossing spares. Now watch how his wrist is flat at the top. See it flat, and then kills the ball in a downswing. It's a great practice vehicle. Instead of you switching to the hard ball as Steve Fair does, just kill the shot. It's just as easy. Right now, Janello 103 through the 5th frame. Spare working, leads by 10.
And applause for that late help. And Janello is at it again.
That pin had to come from the right side of the lane. Let's see what happens. The 3-pin goes to the sideboard, and look, it's still in play. Normally the 3-pin's in the channel. Here it comes around. Say hello, 4-pin. 7th frame, a strike for Don Janello. What a break.
Concentration broken.
Fair 93 in the 5th with a spare up in the 6th. Trails by 10.
faced with the 6, 7, 10.
110 in the 6th. If he fails to convert this, he'll be 118 or 119 in the 7th. He'll be backed up to less by more than 20 pins with just 3 frames to go. He's going to give it a shot.
Opening in the 7th frame, now trailing by 24 pins, 119 through the 7th.
Steve Fair just knocking the 6 down at 10 down and leaving the 7. Opens in the 7th frame. He trails by 24 pins. Don Janello with 123 in the 6th is going at a 203 pace. Fair, the best he could do is 209. He must get striking right here.
Cool, calm competitor Fair. So is Don Janello, who in his 2 matches, somewhat like a boxing match, give and take, winning by 6 pins and then by 2 pins. And speaking of boxing, on Wide World today, the WBC welterweight title is at stake. Milt McCrory against Colin Jones. Should be a great fight. And in our first match, Bo, I failed to mention Pete Couture, the defending champion. He was defeated by Sam Macarone, 215 to 167, but it was Pete's father that holds the record for the shortest knockout in boxing, 10.5 seconds.
What happened? The opponent just slipped as he fell out of the corner.
Pow, right in the kisser.
He must have been a track star to run across the ring that fast in a half a second.
That's right. So,
go ahead, Chris.
It's a spare for Janello going against Fair, at whom we're looking. Spare in the 8th frame, 143 through the 7th. Now the big 9th.
Has never seen the winner's circle on the PBA Tour. Don Janello. 203 pace, his opponent 179 pace.
Always after something good, that smile.
What a big shot. In the 9th frame, he didn't lose any count. He sets up the strike, so if Fair strikes out, Janello just needs 1. If Fair doesn't strike in either the 9th or the 10th frame, Janello, all he will need is a mark. Big shot for Fair. Must strike.
Hanging right in there, the tournament leader. Well, will it be a first-time winner like this man, Janello, or a 3-time winner, Steve Fair? Fair requesting a re-rack on the left lane. Big shot coming up.
Fair trailing by 14, has a double working. Can cut Don Janello's lead down to just 4 pins. That man has been in this position the last 2 games, performed perfectly in the clutch. Let's see what Steve Fair can do for the title.
Winner, 18,000. The runner-up, 10. Left the 10.
Chris, remember last year, Joe Berardi stood on the approach, needed 2 strikes for the title. Pete Couture on the bench, the exact same thing. The solid 10 was the turnaround, the demise of the 2nd place man. Steve Fair just had it happen to him. He still has an outside chance. He must make this spare and get a strike, though.
This, the championship match. Next week, we'll be in Milwaukee. Next year on ABC, Wide World of Sports.
Fair with a strike will force Janello to just get an 8 count on 2 balls. 8, 9, or 10 on this ball, and Don Janello is in the Firestone Tournament of Champions April 30th with his first victory.
This has been a year of first-time winners. This is our 10th stop. Thanking the Great Spirit. Ah, yes. $18,000 at King Louie Open.
The Few Champ won Sugar Ray Leonard's WBC title, plus Tamara McKinney's quest to become the first American woman overall World Cup champ. ABC's Wide World of Sports, next.
Huge crowd here in Overland Park, Kansas, watching first victory for John Janela, winning 3 games. Bob Palin, president of King Louie International, with a check for $18,000 in the trophy. And the final score, Janela 223, Steve Fair 188. Final score once again, Janela 223, Fair 188. Coming up next, ABC's Wide World of Sports, featuring the WBC World Welterweight Championship fight between Milt McCrory and Colin Jones, live from Reno, Nevada, plus Women's World Cup skiing from Japan. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. That's what Friendly Skies are all about. This has been an ABC Sports